This is John Colo with DiscountJuicers.com. Today I have a very exciting episode for you. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to juice a pineapple and give you the play-by-play and the step-by-step on how to properly juice it in the Omega Vert 330 HD juicer. Now it's very important when juicing in the Omega Vert 330 to follow proper procedures that actually aren't outlined in the instruction manual. If you haphazardly cut up the pineapple and just put it in without paying attention, the juicer may back up on you, and actually this is the way it's designed. Actually, the reason why it does that, let me go ahead and show you guys. The reason why it does that is on the bottom of the machine there's this little pulp flap. This little silicone pulp flap. Its job is to be the gatekeeper, or to keep the pulp inside the machine and only let it out when the maximum juice has been extracted from the pulp. Now the problem arises that with softer fruits and things that are soft and mushy, it doesn't eject out properly. Now things like carrots, it has no problem and it works perfectly. But with fruits, it can have some challenges if you're not following certain procedures. This will get backed up with things that are stringy. So things like celery, kale, and collards that have long strings in the stalk, they also tend to get stuck up in here. This one's going to deal with juicing pineapples, and also I'll share with you how to juice some fruits properly in the vert. Let's go ahead and push this little flap back in there. And once again, you always want to have the flap fully pushed in when juicing for best results. We're going to go ahead and reassemble the machine so we're all set and ready to go. Now the first thing that's really important before even thinking about juicing fruits is proper fruit selection. So what does that mean? So when you go to the store or go to your farmer's market, or maybe go out to your farm and pick your own fruits, you want to get a certain kind of fruit to juice. Now if you are going to be eating the fruits, of course I recommend you get the fruits as ripe as possible. And when fruits are ripe, generally that means they're softer. So if you do get soft fruits, they're definitely good for eating or blending, in my opinion. And in my opinion also, in general, we shouldn't probably be juicing fruits. When we juice fruits, we basically get a sugar water. Now the sugar water is definitely better than any Coca-Cola, Diet Coke or anything else, any other beverage, or even better than canned and bottled fruit juices, but not as good as vegetable juices. So I would prefer and encourage you to eat your fruits whole or to blend them up. Thereby you get the fiber, and the fiber regulates the absorption of the sugar into our bloodstreams. That being said, if you did want to juice them, it's important and critical that you get nice, hard, firm fruits, and generally firm fruits are maybe not as ripe as they could be. So firm fruits will always work better when juicing. For example, if you get some soft, mushy apples that are starting to go bad, try to juice them. You're going to make more of an apple sauce than an apple juice. And I do have other videos on YouTube demonstrating how to juice at least a dozen kinds of different fruits in the Omega Vert, and in many cases, many fruits may basically make, instead of a nice clean juice, it'll make more of a nectar, so a nice thicker, richer, full body textured, juice. While the Vert is, in my opinion, one of the best juices to juice fruits, it still has its limitations. And once again, the best juicer for juicing fruits is probably like a press. So if you really want a nice clean juice, and actually I have a video on that, juicing pineapples in the Wells press, check for my other videos on that. That makes the best fruit juices every single time. So you want to get the Wells press if you want to juice fruit juices and make a lot of fruit juices and have it come out the best and the highest yield. Nonetheless, I like the Omega Vert juicer for its versatility. It tends to juice a lot of things and does it actually fairly well, and it's fairly convenient. So besides getting hard and firm produce, in general, if you're juicing more than one kind of produce item at a time, you want to rotate what you're juicing. So if you're juicing apples in with your carrot juice, the juicer doesn't tend to have a problem, because the carrots help push in the apples, and the hard fiber in the carrots help push through the soft pulp of the apples. That's really where the problem comes in, is the juicer has a hard or challenging time dealing with the soft pulp. Now you can look at the other different brands of juicers that may be a little bit more forgiving when feeding fruits in the machine, but in general, most juicers except for the Wells press will have challenges when juicing fruits. So I guess the first thing to do that's very important is to cut the produce properly. So in the case of a pineapple, you can juice the pineapple skin. It is edible and the juicer can handle it no problem. The juicer can also handle many other skins of fruits. That being said, because this is a conventional pineapple and not grown organically, there's probably actually fungicides and other things sprayed on here that I don't want to be eating, so I'm going to actually cut off the skin. Now, if you do juice the skin of fruits, it will tend to make your juice maybe not quite as sweet and add more of a full-bodied flavor to it. So actually, watermelon rind, actually one of my favorite things to juice, and there's a lot of chlorophyll in the watermelon rind. Actually, the VRT does an amazing job at juicing watermelon. So next, let's go ahead and cut open this pineapple and show you the specific way that I like to cut it open and then feed it into the machine, and I'll give you that play-by-play. So the first thing I like to do is I like to just twist off the top. Very simple, very easy, just twist, and then that comes off. You could actually peel back some of these leaves here and then actually plant this in some dirt in your house. Keep it nice and watered, not too moist, and this may actually shoot up into a plant and then actually make you another pineapple. Of course, you need to grow this inside unless you're living in maybe like tropical Florida or Hawaii. Move that aside. The next thing I like to do is I like to take the pineapple and I like to cut off the bottom and the top. So we're going to take the knife and just cut it down the top. So I'll remove the top here, and then I'll also turn around and I'm going to cut off the bottom. So once we got that cut off, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put it on the cutting board, and then I like to put it on the edge of the cutting board and take my knife and just slice down to slice off the skin. So I'll slice off that skin, I'll turn it a little bit, and I'll go down and I'll continue to turn it and continuing to slice off a little bit of the skin at a time as I'm rotating around. Now this ensures me that I actually get the most pineapple in my juice and with the least amount of skin and the least amount of waste. Alright, so we're almost done peeling off all the skin off this pineapple. So now that we have the pineapple skin, the next thing we're going to do is, this is really important actually, if you just start cutting the pineapple up, you're probably going to cut it wrong. What I like to do is, once again, the pineapple was oriented like this, the thing was on the little top was on the top, we're just going to cut it right down the middle. And right in the middle of the pineapple is that core. So if you're actually eating the pineapple, you'd probably cut out that core. But the core is the essential part that you want and need to make sure that your pineapple is juiced properly in the Omega VRT juicer. So we're going to cut right down the middle, right through the middle of that core. Man, this is a juicy pineapple. And you can see here, you can kind of see, you probably can't see too much in the video, but this is the core right in the middle. And once we do that, then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to cut it once again lengthwise, and we're going to cut down the middle of the pineapple into pieces that'll fit in the machine. And we're going to do this to both halves. Alright, so now that I got my pineapple cut, the main thing I want you guys to notice is that, this was a whole half here. Let's see if I can pick that up. This was a whole half, and remember, the core was in the middle. So these outside pieces, these are non-core pieces. These pieces don't have the core. They're nice and flexible and soft and kind of mushy, actually. The next piece here, let's see, it might have a little bit of core in there. But this piece right here, this has a lot of core, and this core is a hard fiber that the Omega VRT juicer needs to work properly. So the main strategy here is we're going to feed non-core pieces that don't have the hard fiber through the machine, and when we start seeing it back up a little bit, then we're going to want to feed a core piece, whether it's a thick core piece right from the middle, or if it's one of the side core pieces that has a little bit of core. We want to alternate and give soft produce and then pieces without the core and then pieces with the core to help push it through so that we can have a successful juicing session with this pineapple without it having to back up on me. Now, if you want to see a video of it backing up, check my other videos. I have a video where I actually talk about how, is it cheaper to buy pineapple juice or juice a pineapple? And actually, I wasn't paying attention in that video, and actually it backs up. So I explain how to deal with a backup situation in the VRT as well. So today we're going to try to do it right. So let's turn the machine on and get juicing. So the first thing, of course, we want to have a non-core piece that's nice and soft. Run that through the machine. You can see we put that in, and instantly we're getting some pineapple pulp out on this side and some juice on this side. So because that is flowing pretty good, I feel confident in getting another non-core piece from the other end, and we're going to let that juice. And once again, that pulp is flowing out nice and fine as well. Now be aware the pulp outlet port is that much, and that much pineapple is coming out. As long as pineapple or something's moving out of your ejection port, it's going to be fine. Next, let's go ahead and do another non-core piece and see how that works. Once again, that's kicking out pulp really good, so I feel confident in putting another non-core piece in. Now we have been putting a whole bunch of softer fibers through, so it's still kicking it out pretty good, but I don't want to take too many more chances, so we're going to put a piece that has a little bit of core in there to help flush the machine and flush the fiber through the machine, and see if we can get it to, you know, push through even faster. Alright, so that worked pretty good. Let's go with another non-core piece over from this side. And once again, you don't want to be using the pusher when juicing in the Omega VRT juicer. You want to just let things feed in and go in at their own pace. Now, the pulp has actually stopped flowing really good out of the machine, so that tells me there's some kind of backup situation in there. So now we want to grab a piece with like a lot of core in there to give it some fiber. And you can actually hear the machine crush up that fiber, and look at that. Now we're getting a nice stream out. And that's what you want to look for. You want to get a nice constant stream whenever you put stuff in. Now if you're getting a block up, like nothing's coming out, you need to kind of change what you're doing and change your approach. That's why I call the Omega VRT juicer. It's like it has a steep learning curve, or I call it juicing curve. I have another really good video on juicing curves. Every juicer has a different learning curve, you know, like of course riding a tricycle that has 3 wheels, you could get on and just ride it without falling off. Getting on a bicycle, a little bit more difficult to learn because there's 2 wheels, you might fall off. And then of course what I want to do one day is ride a unicycle. I mean, there's only 1 wheel and you've got to really have good balance. So, you know, the Omega VRT's probably more like a bicycle, and it does take some learning on how to get it to use it properly. So if you're not up to that challenge, you might want to check my other videos for the learning curve of juicers and find out the juicers that are actually a lot easier to use without thinking. Because these days, unfortunately, people don't like to think. Actually, I like the challenge. So next we're going to put in a non-core piece, because the last core piece really was moving some pulp out of that. And now it's coming out kind of slowly, so that's definitely a good sign. So we'll probably put a piece that has a little bit of core in there. I think this piece might be pretty good. So next we're going to put a nice core piece. So that's very important to help push things through the machine. And you could hear it take off that core and chunk out that core. And you can see the pulp starting to move out slowly. Next, let's go ahead and put a piece that has some more core in there, because I wasn't seeing it move out and push out fast enough. And there it's slowly moving out once again. So it looks like we're getting a clog situation. So luckily enough, we have only a few pieces left with mostly core, and we're just going to go ahead and feed those in the machine and see if we can get the machine to just juice the rest of our pineapple. So here's the last piece of pineapple we're going to put in, and hopefully it'll juice the rest of this and we'll get some juice out. So it's taking it in there, and we're getting a little bit of backup. Now this pineapple has actually been sitting around the house for a few days, so once again I encourage you to pick your pineapples fresh and hard as possible and use them immediately. If you let them sit around your house, actually without refrigeration, they're going to get a little bit soft, and actually they're not going to work as well as a nice hard firm pineapple. That's the critical thing here, besides cutting it properly, is getting hard firm produce. I can't stress that enough. So we do have a little bit of backup here. We're going to use the pusher just to try to clear that jam and help direct some pulp through the machine. And I mean, it looks like it's pretty much done juicing. We're going to go ahead and turn this machine off, and I'm going to show you inside what the machine looks like. And this is what it probably should look like, unless you're using nice hard fibrous pieces and nice hard firm pineapples. So you can see here when we take this machine apart, inside the machine here, it's just going to be loaded with pulp, because what's happening is the pulp's staying in there and it's getting juiced, but it's not getting fully juiced because it's not getting ejected out of the outlet port here. because this outlet port is getting clogged up with the soft fibers that basically can't push through the machine. Now in general, I find that one pineapple could be juiced like this, but if you try to put a second pineapple after the first pineapple, it's definitely not going to work. So if you want to juice 2 pineapples, juice 1, stop, clean it all out, and then basically start with a clean juicer and juice that other pineapple separately. But you can see here that one pineapple rewarded us with approximately 3 cups of fresh pineapple juice. So let me tell you, this pineapple juice is super delicious. Now for some people, pineapple juices may be a little bit acidic, so I like to dilute it down, and the fun thing to dilute it down with is some sparkling mineral water. I got some Perrier here. We're just going to go ahead and open this up and just pour some sparkling mineral water into our juice, and now instantly we have a delicious sparkling pineapple soda. Nothing can be better and healthier than that. So I'm going to go ahead and drink some of this. Hopefully you've enjoyed this episode learning more about how to properly juice a pineapple in the Omega Vert. Especially if you have a soft pineapple and don't cut it properly, you may run into some challenges, so please be aware of that. But with proper produce selection and proper feeding of the machine and paying some attention on what's going on and making adjustments as you go, you can get successful results every single time in the Omega Vert Juicer. Once again, my name is John Kohler with DiscountJuicers.com. Be sure to visit DiscountJuicers.com/YouTube for special promotional offers for our YouTube visitors.